Welcome back to the Uninkable Dads podcast with myself, Grandad Glenn, and the man who is widely known as the best deck builder this side of the Thames, the second best Lorcana player on the podcast, is the one and only FPS Madness. We're going to talk about our week in the ink as always. We've got a couple of deck lists to go through with you. We've got the news that I know that you've all been waiting for, how and where you can get your hands on the Uninkable Dads merchandise. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be it's a bit early for Christmas, but there's definite stocking fillers for all the family. And we're going to talk through the ink identities. So whatever your favourite colour ink is, we'll be touching on it. So stay tuned for that and maybe find out a bit about some ink colours that you're not so familiar with. We'll start off as usual with this week in the ink and FPS Madness. How have things been for you this week?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. Thank you very much. It's been good. It's been a good week. I'm at home this week, which is nice. I'm off for 2 weeks looking after little one, which is good. It's it's a holiday, but it's not a holiday. But yeah, it's good. It's been good.
Has it started okay so far?
Yeah, it's been going good. It's going really well. So yeah, how about yourself? You had a good week?
Yeah, it's been all right. Thank you. Spent the long weekend barbecuing in the rain on Monday, which I thought was a very British thing to do.
Yep.
So yeah, it wasn't raining when we decided to have a barbecue. It wasn't raining when we started to have a barbecue, but it was very much raining by the end of it. And I had my granddaughter Lily standing there holding an umbrella over me while I finished off the barbecue. So yeah, very British thing to do.
The best barbecues are in the rain. So
yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, no. Go on.
I was probably going to say the same thing as you, but I was going to say we had a good locals.
We did
Friday. I think.
Now, I believe
you surprised me.
Doing something completely different. You were playing a completely new deck that I wasn't expecting. So I was going into this going, right, I know what I'm going to play. I'm going to play Ruby Amythest. I've never really played a Ruby Amythest at all. And it's going to be me and Glenn, and it's going to be Ruby Amythest Mirror, and then you turn up with this.
Yeah. So we hadn't spoken about this before, and this genuinely wasn't because I was like trying to keep something secret and turn up and surprise everyone. It was that at the point we were talking about your Ruby Amythest deck, I hadn't decided what I was going to play. But yeah, I just thought I'd have a crack with something different. I've never played Blurple at all. Wasn't feeling the whole Ruby Amythest Shark meta. So I thought, well, I like my Amethyst. What haven't I tried it with? I haven't tried it with Blurple. I've got the cards. Let's have a go. So yeah, I kind of chucked this together on the Thursday night, gave it a quick run online, and spent a bit of time playing with it on Friday. It meant I had to change Lily's deck as well because I wanted the genies. Yeah, I needed the genies. So I did ask her, how does your deck run without genies? And she was like, I'll be fine. And I looked at a list and I was like, yeah, it so won't. Put something together for her in a different ink combination, which thankfully she really loved. So I was all right. And gave this a go. And yeah, I mean, I ended up sitting across the table from yourself in round 3, both on 2-0 record at the time. So yeah, it did all right. It's not the easiest deck to play, or that might be me, but I think some of the inking decisions were tough, and I think I got quite a few wrong, and I had a fair bit of luck. Specifically, round 2, I was playing green, purple. I inked an Elsa Fifth Spirit at one point, and then immediately knew it was the wrong move, and I was very fortunate to top deck another Elsa Fifth Spirit on for when I drew for turn. So yeah, I had a bit of luck in some of those things. Some of the things went my way, but yeah, it was an interesting deck. Obviously, you're looking to play 1 drop down, ramp on turn 2, and generally go into Genie, sometimes McDuck Manor, if you're against a really
Depends on what
slow
I've got on board,
deck.
doesn't it?
Yeah, and you think you can do that. But generally Genie or Grand Mortala, yeah, there's loads of card draw in it. I think I played friends on the other side, kind of 3 turns on the bounce against you at one point.
Yeah, I was generally like, you were flying through your cards, and I was backing off a little bit just to try and get you to take the board presence so I could be prep, restart, and go again. And then every time it was like, I play friends. I play friends. I'm like, just empty your hand already.
Yeah. Yeah, my round 2 was against green purple discard. Against Chris, so who's a very good player of green purple. And it was a really good match, but he did look at me at one point and went, "There's just no point trying to discard your hand, is there? Because you just constantly draw more cards." So yeah, it worked all right. This was my first go at building Blurple, and it sort of looked all right. So it's got the ramp there on 2. It's got the bounce package in there. Elsa, I think, is just an absolute must-have at the moment with the Diablos and the Genies and everything running around. So plenty of card draw. Hades in there for removal with sort of Elsa to freeze a couple of characters and come in. But I've been playing around with it since, and it's changed an awful lot. So I think we've got the current. Here's the current list, which looks very different. So we've got rid of the big Elsa
as well. Ooh, okay.
Yeah, that was your advice, the Great Stone Dragon, and that is a really, really good card.
It's one of those ones. We've said it so many times. One of the most difficult choices in Lorcana is what to ink. Normally for players, the most important one's turn 1. From there, you just have to make a decision once a turn. With Blurple, you could be making it 2, if not 3.
Yeah.
And it is a tough choice because, as you say, you argument's sake say you've got nothing else in your hand to really ink, and you do decide to ink your Elsa, your 5-drop Elsa, and you top deck the big Elsa. That's just horrendous. Obviously you've removed it from this version, but it's one of those ones of, it is such a hard decision to ink. So Great Stone, just being able to just take stuff from your discard and keep inking is so nice.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not really a turn 3 play, though it costs 3, but you play it later on. And in Blurple, one of the things I did find is you've often got spare ink, so you can play something out like that, which is why Finders Keepers has also come in here. It's not been a card that I've particularly liked. I mean, when I played Ruby Amethyst, I've never really found a place for it. To pay 5 to draw 3 cards, obviously very powerful to draw 3 cards, but that's a lot of ink. That's often a turn you're taking off. But in Blurple, because of the ramp, you can often find a place where you can play this, draw 3 cards, and still play something out.
Yeah.
Especially with the bell. We've got the bell in there now with the Porpsicle, so you can sometimes put a Porpsicle down for 1, draw a card, play a bell for free, and then play the Finders Keepers. So you can do that on 6 ink. You've drawn 4 cards and managed to get a 3/3 body out on board. So
nice, I like it.
And you, as we said earlier, you turned up with something different.
Joined the dark side, and this was what I took. So it's a little bit different for me. Like I say, I haven't played Ruby Amythest. I've thought about it loads of times. I've messed around with the idea, just couldn't find anything that really settled into. So I don't think this is 100%. I think I had 1 less crab and 1 more Maui. I've built this again because it's changed since I did this. So. But yeah, so we've got the standard 1-drops. I've only got 10 instead of 12. A lot of people are running the 12. But I think 10's enough. If I'm not hitting 10 off Mulligan, I wasn't going to hit it anyway. Having that 2 extra is really not going to make that much difference. Mimi's my only turn 2. That's mainly because with 10 1-drops I found, most of the time I've got 2, if not 3 of them in my hand. So therefore I can go triple 1-drop by turn 2, which is nice. It gives you a little bit of ball presence. I think on one of the games against you, I even went Broom turn 1, turn 2, quest a broom, and then play the broom, and then play Junibug and banish both rooms just to get the card draw. Because I was trying to just, I wasn't bothered about ball control. I didn't need early game ball control. I just needed cards. So I was trying to maximise the amount of cards I could get. Yes, I didn't maximise my quest. I obviously could have waited a turn and then quested, but I wasn't bothered about that. I just needed options in my hand, basically. So I think I even inked Madam Mim on that. The Fox, obviously, brilliant card. It's always going to be about. Crab, obviously, it works really well with Diablo and other bits bobs. And then you have basically the evasive rush package. So you have the Peter Pan Shadowfinder, which is rush. He's rush and evasive, and he gives your other evasive characters rush, which means that Genie, Moana, Elsa, and Maui all now have rush when he's on board, which I think game 1 caught you out. Game 2, you annihilated Pan at every single chance you had.
Yeah. Shoot on sight,
so, yeah, playing Pan on turn 3 and following up Moana on turn 4 was so good, because when Moana banishes, she gains rush from, obviously, Pan, and then when she banishes a character, you give +3 to another. So I was then giving it to Pan, and Pan was then hitting for 5 as well. So you had basically 2 characters.
It's when she challenges, right?
Yeah.
So she doesn't have to banish the character, although she normally will do before.
Yeah. I was going to say, I think most of the time it was banishing, so I didn't really take that into effect. But yeah.
How did you find the 3 Sisus? Sorry, because
I didn't actually use them, I don't think. I think I used them once. I think there was one game which was aggro. The rest played you, and I played Chris? Don't know. I can't remember who the other person I played was. I think I used them once to clear a board. And I don't know whether it won me the game. I think I was in control anyway, but they had played a few bits on board. They were all 2s, and I was like, well, I'm not going to not play it. So it cleared the board and just pretty much guaranteed it. I think, like I say, with what I had in my hand, I don't think it was going to be an issue anyway. In my new version, I have actually dropped this down. It's gone down to 2, because 3, at the minute, is too much. If aggro starts picking back up again, then it would straight away get back up. But at the minute, I think 2's more than enough. I think I've even dropped down to 3 Sisu instead of 4 as well, because you don't need 4 when you've only got your 2 shift targets. That gives me 2 spaces in this deck. I think one of them went to B threat, so I just swapped to Sisu for B threat. I think this one potentially went to another Moana or something along those lines. But yeah, the option of having Maui have a rush was very nice. I think, online I didn't pull it off on the night, but online when I was doing some practicing, I brought friends back like 6 times, and I literally had like 14 cards in hand. It was mental. I think they had the Lilo that comes in exerted and just kept bringing it back, and I was like, okay, well, I'll take it out and draw some more cards. So
sharp
unfortunately, food. Yeah, that was good. I like that one. That was a good game. Yeah. I wish all games were like that.
And it made McDuck Manor ink in my deck. I realised quite quickly that there's that is just be eaten up.
Maui's strong as he is, and then when you can give him rush and just challenge that the turn he's played, so you don't even get a chance to remove him. He's just so good. Hence why Vitality is so powerful in blue-red and any other deck that it's in. Being able to use him straight away is vital, really, in the current meta. The amount of Zeus and removals around that you kind of need to be able to use him straight away. So yeah, it worked really well. It seemed to hold its own, and it did all right. I think we went down to a draw in the end, didn't we? We didn't quite have the time.
We did. No, we didn't quite have the time. At the end of turns, I think I was 14 Lord 3 up going first, but you had the Ruby Amethyst hand.
Yeah.
Be prepared. I think you had a
Sisu
in their library. You had
Shark, 2 B
or Shark, was it?
And something else. Yeah,
Yeah.
I literally had control. I think you were down to 1 or 2 cards in hand as well.
Yeah, I had Library and Crab in hand, so
I think
yeah,
we knew that game was potentially going to a draw, so you played out very quickly, which then meant that your card draw wasn't as high. So it was one of those ones. Obviously, if it worked, it would have been perfect, but it meant that you run out of gas a little bit sooner. But then we were never going to get to the late game anyway. So, but yeah,
it
it
was a
worked well.
very, very
I've
good
made
game,
a couple
wasn't
of actions, and hopefully, we'll be able to clutch it on Friday. So, yeah,
cool. Yeah, and I mean this week, from what I've seen, in terms of tournaments around the globe, what I've looked at on YouTube, Ruby Amythest seems to be really making quite a strong comeback. So
yeah, it does.
which
Yeah,
is interesting.
Yeah, I think to be honest with you, we both picked 2 decks that seem to be quite high up there in the meta. Burple's made a massive comeback, and so's Ruby Amythest. So I think they could both have really good chance of having a decent meta share at the minute. So they're 2 very powerful decks. So going on from there, the other bit I wanted to cover from our week in the ink was this little fella. So Alex, who's one of our locals, 3D printed me a Mickey, Brave Little Tailor. And I got one of our other locals, Tom, who plays Warhammer. He does have a Warhammer podcast. So if you're into Warhammer and you're interested, I will leave a link below. But yeah, he painted me a little Mickey. So it's really cool. It's really, really cool. All this like dirt down is actual I don't think it's actual dirt, but it's got texture. It's not just
Right, like I say, it
something.
looks really real, really
Yeah.
realistic, and
Yeah, because I remember touching it and some of it started moving and coming off. I was like, oh, won't touch that. So yeah, I got a few little pictures.
Oh, that's
But it's
very
the
good.
detailing stuff on the scissors as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure I've got the
I
either
don't.
steady enough hand or the patience
Yeah, pretty much.
do it. But
yeah.
How long did it take him? Do you know?
I don't know. I gave it to him about 5 weeks ago. I don't know. I don't think he started it straight away. He had some plans and stuff. I need to ask him what paint he used because I managed to, where I put it in a deck box to get it home, it scratched some of the base paint. So I need to ask him so I can touch that up. But yeah, I think it come out really well. So I need to get Alex to 3D print me another character now. So let us know. Drop us a comment below. What other character do you reckon we should do? And I'll see if we can get it sorted. You never know. We might be able to do it as a giveaway at some point. We'll give away the Brave Little Tailor.
Okay.
So, but yeah,
cool.
That was a wonderful artwork there from Tom.
And this week as well, thank you to all our listeners out there. We sort of got to the magic number of 100 subscribers on YouTube. So a few weeks ago, we started this podcast, and Michael said, "Should we give this a go?" And it was like, well, we like to chat about Lorcana anyway. We can do that. If no one listens, who cares? We'll have a laugh chatting between ourselves. So exactly. We've had fantastic feedback from people, so thank you very, very much. And we appreciate you all. So we want to sort of just keep growing this community. So do give us any feedback on anything that you want us to cover. We'll be happy to try and do that, and let us know in the comments where you're listening from, and maybe what your deck color of choice is. Because we'd like this to be a nice little community. So if you've got any questions or stuff that you want us to cover, this is your podcast as much as it is ours. So thank you very much for everyone that's subscribed. If you haven't, do it now. Click that subscribe button. Hit the little thumbs up.
Go down.
Yep. Do it now. You can. Give us a like, comment, anything like that is massively helpful, and we really appreciate it. So yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. So going from ink colors, then let's have a quick look. We were going to go through and do a what ink colors mean, or what they There's 6 different
What
inks in
their
Lorcana.
identity is.
Yeah, there's 6 inks in Lorcana, and why are there 6 inks? Why is not all cards all the same? And we thought we'd go through. So, first up we have Amber. So going into Amber, Amber is known as a defensive for its defensive and support abilities, including healing, singing songs, and protecting characters. There are obviously loads of other bits Amber does, but they are kind of like the bulk of Amber. It's good for people that like to build a board state and go wider and start to really dominate in that playstyle. So I've got a few examples for you. So Maximus here is a bodyguard. So this means that you have to challenge through Maximus or remove Maximus before you can challenge any other character. Obviously, you can still sing songs and other item removals and whatever else through to the other characters, but challenges have to go through Maximus first. And then he also has support. So that's one of the other abilities that Amber has. Is support, which is when he quests, he can give this 4 damage to another character. So if he quested, you could give Rapunzel the 4, and Rapunzel would attack for 5. The other main ability in Amber, which I think is only in Amber, support and bodyguard are in other colours, and healing's in other colours, but I believe Amber are the only ones that have singers. Now, what we mean by singers is Maximus here is a 5 cost, and Rapunzel is a 4 cost. So Maximus can sing up to a 5 cost song, and Rapunzel can sing up to a 4 cost song. Whereas Ariel is only a 3 cost, but she has the ability sing a 5, which allows her to sing up to a 5. So she can sing all those powerful cards that are up there into the 5 ink range. So going on from there, we have.
And I think support is quite an underused keyword as well. We haven't seen it really shine as yet, but I think we will see a day in a meta where that keyword really comes out.
Definitely.
Bodyguards as well. It can be really powerful when built into the right sort of deck. We've got some. In fact, your daughter plays a spicy sort of aggro deck where she drops some high questing characters down and then sticks a bodyguard in front of it, and so it says get through that first, which can be a challenge to play around.
Yeah, definitely. So do you want to talk us through Amethyst?
Yeah, probably my favourite ink colour. So, I mean, this is a really good... So Amethyst is kind of a deck where you can actually play the majority of your deck as Amethyst and then splash in another colour to support it. So as it says there, it's versatile because of the card draw. So you've always got options in your hand with Amethyst. The damage manipulation, so you can move damage off of your characters onto opposing characters, or also between opposing characters. That in itself can be useful if you've got a main target that you want to take out and there's some damage on another opposing character. You can move it across, get rid of that target. But yeah, really it's that card draw that allows you to put bodies on board and have cards in your hand, as I say, then to have options for the later game. So we've got some examples here. We've got Magic Broom, so it's a 1 cost. You play Magic Broom down, and then whenever you play another character, you have the choice. So you can choose to banish Magic Broom and draw a card, or you can choose not to. So, if Magic Broom's likely to survive, you can just quest with Magic Broom for 1, leave it on board. But if you think there's a risk of it being taken out, then you can quest with it for the 1. You play another character, you banish it, you get a card back in your hand. So you're not going down cards. Merlin Rabbit, one of the best card draws in the game, certainly now that Hiram's gone. So he draws a card when he enters play and when he leaves play, and that is when he leaves play, not when he's banished. So if you're playing against Blurple and they use Hades or something to put him in the inkwell, he is still left play, so he still draws your card. So pretty much guaranteed 2 cards with Rabbit. any time that you play him. And then Bell, when Bell comes down, you can move that 3 damage characters from chosen character to chosen opposing character. And there are some good cards. I mentioned in the Blurple list, there are some good cards now in Amethyst that can sort of hold damage on them, either because they're evasive and therefore your opponent, if they don't have hard removal, may not be able to challenge into them to finish them off. So they'll hold that damage for a turn, or because they've got really big bodies and they can therefore hold 2 or 3 damage quite happily. And then Bell can come in, move that damage across, which is, it's a double win really. You're moving it across, potentially banishing a character off your opponent's board, but you're also cleaning up your character so that they're back to full strength as well.
Yeah, no, definitely. No, it works really well. Like I say, there's a reason why currently there's a lot of Amethyst out there, and it does what it does very well. So going on from there, we have Emerald. So Emerald is a kind of like a disruption / manipulation deck. It normally has a lot of effects that will either affect your hand or the board state. So they can bounce things back to your hand, or they can or they can discard it straight from your hand. So they have awkward cards to deal around. Normally with Emerald, there'll be a lot of ward in Emerald, which is what the Muses has here. So the Muses has ward, which means you can't choose it except a challenge, so you can't sing a song against it or anything like that. So if they don't quest with it, which 90% of the time they wouldn't with the Muses, it's there. So every time they sing a song, they can bounce something. They're not going to quest with it, therefore it's really difficult to remove. You need either a board removal item that does damage to the whole board, or like B Prep, which would clear the whole board, or something like Sisu, which is also going to do board. You're not choosing a character, you affect the whole board state. And then they have things like Cursed Merfolk, which again, it quests for 2. The card itself doesn't do anything on play or anything like that. It's just whenever it's challenged. So if it's challenged, they have to then discard a card, which means you basically, if you have 5 cards in hand, you have to put one of those straight into the discard pile. You get to choose which one, but you still have to discard. Obviously, again, there are other ways to remove Merfolk, but early in the game, 90% of the time, you're going to need to challenge it to get it off the board. And if you don't, they're going to gain law very quickly. And then they also have things like Sunchill, where they can just outright say, discard a card. And obviously this works really well with the Muses, because they can play Sunchill. If you've only got 1 card in hand, they can play Sunchill and make you discard it. And then they can then use Muse, because you played or sung a song, and bounce a character back to your hand. They then know exactly what's in your hand. So they have a lot of manipulation tools, and they're very... not many people enjoy playing a good Emerald deck. If it's built in the discard manipulation way, they can be a bit interesting to play against. But
yeah. And once they get it set up, they can have some real engines. Like you say, the Muse is down, and then you've got things like the Ursula that double sings.
Mm-hmm.
So you double sing Sudden Chill, discard 2 cards and bounce 2 characters. It can get quite nasty.
Going from there, we have Ruby. So Ruby is a very aggressive, it's also known as control deck. Pretty much any deck that's going to have Ruby in is going to be a control deck of some form. They have pretty much answered to everything. There's nothing on the board or nothing in the game that they won't have an answer to. I think the only thing they don't have, from thinking about it, is straight up item removal.
Yeah, there's no item removal in Ruby.
But character-wise, that they have an answer to it. So they're going to have things like Maui here, which is a rush character and reckless. So he has to challenge. He has no choice. And he can challenge on the turn he's played, so he doesn't have to dry. He can just come in and whack something for 6 straight away. So a very good card and a very powerful ability. They'll also have things like Brawl, which is an action which they can just take something out. So if it's got 2 strength or less, they can just take it out straight off the board. I think there was a thing going around not long ago where there's a whole thing of, but 2 strength's not that high. It is. When you look at how many characters have 2 or less, and how many good characters have 2 or less. You'll be surprised just how good Brawl is.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? It's which of those characters have 2 or less potentially, because it is some really, Genie, for one, is 2 or less. Hiram before he was banned, was 2 or less. There are a lot of influential cards in the game. Elsa Fifth Spirit again is another card that's come back at the moment, is a really important card in the game. And you can just remove these off the board before they get the chance to really do anything.
Yeah, definitely. And that's the thing. It's also, you got to imagine most people, 99.999% of people won't be running solo Ruby, so therefore they're going to pair it with something else. And there are things in other colours that can also affect the strength of the characters. So therefore that 2 strength can become even more important if they've dropped something down that was higher. Also, they are the only colour in the game that has a complete board wipe. There are cards that do very well at it. They have, there's Grab Swords and Steel. You've got other cards that, like the Muse
Under
and
the Sea
songs, you can bounce loads of stuff. Sorry?
Under the Sea?
Under the Sea, yeah, but it's not total board, is it? Because
no, it's
this
conditional.
even gets rid of your own. And also, again, you have to have them all being, I think that's under 3 strength.
I think it's 2 actually. Isn't it? 2 or less.
Is it 2 as well?
Yeah, I think it's 2 as well.
But yeah, again,
so it's conditional.
They have to be under 2 for it to be able to do it. Whereas they can slap this at 7 and the whole board's gone. The only thing that survives are items and locations, basically. So a good one is massively known for control, and it's known for it for a very good reason. So, do you want to talk us through Sapphire?
Yeah, so Sapphire, again, sort of tempo control and gaining resources in terms of filling your inkwell up, allowing you to ramp up early in the game so that you get to your bigger characters, your bigger threats faster than your opponent can. Often put together with Ruby. So Ruby Sapphire has been a really popular deck that's done very, very well in the meta over the last few formats. Becomes a really controlling deck because it's got those Ruby removals and it's got the ability to get to them quicker, but also to have a lot of ink in your inkwell, meaning that you can play more than one card a turn. So you can play one of these big things to take something out, but also then play something to build your own board. It's got some card draw in it. Obviously, Hiram was the big card draw engine for this color, but it's got some cards that replace themselves, the likes of Porpsicle. So you play Porpsicle, you draw a card. So you've not lost anything out of your hand. Tipo is one of your ramp options on 2. So Sapphire has a few different ramp options. You can ramp all the way through 2, 3, 4, and 5, I think, if you want to. But the main thing is ramping on turn 2, which means that on turn 3 you can play out a 4-drop character, a 4-cost character rather than a 3-cost, and start getting ahead of your opponent that way. So Tipo, when you play the character, you can put a card from your hand into the inkwell face down and exerted. So you get to ink another card, but also because it's face down exerted, you don't have to show it to your opponent. This can be an uninkable card, so a card you couldn't normally ink, which is a really good way of unclogging your hand if you've got a few high cost inkables. That's going to be a bit of a problem for you. You can just drop one straight into the inkwell with Tipo. Then How Far I'll Go, a song, and this allows you to look at the top 2 cards of your deck, put one into your hand and one into your inkwell face down and exerted. So again, it's replaced itself. You've used the card, but you've got a card back in your hand and you've added to your inkwell. So all about gaining those resources, having more ink in your inkwell than your opponent, but also having a good hand of cards, which means that you can use that ink.
Yeah, pretty much. Like I say, it's known 90% of it as a ramp deck. There are a lot of items in blue that are playable. So most item decks are going to be, have a version of blue in them, but it's mainly known as the ramp deck. And like you say, the main pairing at the minute is either Ruby for the control or Amethyst for the card draw, and they're two big things that when you get to do things quicker is a surprise, and it's one of those ones of playing your genie one turn before your opponent can play theirs is quite powerful. So, and then going from there, the last one we have is Steel. So Steel is again another very strong ink that does direct damage, has defense, and resist are the main things it will have. It's sort of a control deck. It's not as control as Ruby, because Ruby has a lot more abilities to be able to control the board, but it does have direct damage. So I don't think, from memory, apart from possibly 2 or 3 cards in Ruby that do damage directly, they do wipes, so you can delete a character. So you've got Brawl, you've got Dragonfire, you've got cards that can just get rid of them, Lady Tremaine, and there's loads of them. So you've got things that can get rid of a character, but not many that can do damage to a character.
No. So it's mainly...
Steel is.
Yeah, so Ruby's mainly banishing something based on a condition. So banishing something because it's strength less than this, or banishing something with Tremaine where your opponent chooses which one it's banished. So usually that. Whereas as you say, this Steel allows you to pick your character that you want to attack and do a number damage to it.
Yeah, slightly less conditional, but then also the damage has to be enough to, to kill it or banish it. There are obviously some other songs, but I just picked Zeus here, as it's quite a powerful one in the meta currently, which just straight up deals 5 damage to a character or location. So you can just straight away just do 5, either to a character or to a location, which is nice. The big thing that the big thing that Steel has as well is Pete, which is the area where the defense comes in, which is, instead of, they do have bodyguards. There are a couple of bodyguards in Steel, but not as many. The main defense for them is to stop you from doing things. So Pete is one of the big ones, which is basically that Brawl, that B prep, that stuff that you want to do on your turn. I can play Pete on my turn and stop you from doing it. So Pete's one of those ways that they can just buy a turn here and there. Obviously, you can have 4 Petes in your deck, so pretty much every Steel deck runs 4 Petes, and technically, as long as they draw 4, they can stop you from doing things 4 times. Obviously,
and
if you start pairing it with...
I would say it's one of the few cards that his ability persists whether he's on the board or not. Right. Yeah. So most cards, their ability will be relevant to when they're in play, whereas Pete's ability, as soon as he comes down, is in play until the start of your next turn. Whether he's removed or not, that restriction on your opponent stays in play.
Yeah, it's his action is a game state action, isn't it? It's an action that affects the game state whether he's there or not. So, but yeah, it's hence then you can pair it with things that bounce this back to your hand and replay it. So therefore, the Ruby, Amethyst can bounce this back to the hand and replay again, or Green can, with all their bounce tools, could bounce Pete back and then play it again. So there's options there where Pete can get played multiple times. And then the other key one they have mainly is Resist. So Resist, there is in blue as well with Cogsworth, but most of Resist is in Steel. And that basically means that you have to do whatever the number is extra to the card in one single blow to be able to take it out. So Callahan here has 2. So if Pete challenged, Callahan would have Resist +1, which takes Pete's damage basically down to a 2 instead of a 3, so it is enough, so they would trade. But if Pete only hit for 2, then the Resist 1 would kick in, bringing this down to a 1, and therefore it wouldn't be enough. So it's one of those ones of small characters, especially if they've only got 1 damage, can't really challenge. They just do nothing. A lot of them, especially if you can get resist built up and you can get 2 or even 3 resist, then it all of a sudden Pete doesn't even do anything. You know, you need a even bigger character, or you need some other form to get rid of cards. So yeah, that's mainly what Steel does, which is nice. So, one of my favourite colours.
So those are the 6 ink colours. So I've got a question for you. As we've said, all the inks have got their own identity. They all do a range of things, but no ink color does anything. No ink color does everything, which is why you pair them together and you have 2 ink colors. But if you couldn't have that and you had to play a mono deck, what ink would you go for a mono deck?
Oh, that's hard. That is so hard. Current matter, I'd say Amethyst. It's got the evasive tools there. It's got the card draw, which is a big thing. Don't get me wrong, Ruby is by far the more powerful control color, but if you don't have cards to draw, you're going to run out of cards by turn 4. So I think I'd probably. Yeah, I'll probably go Ruby, Amethyst. The second choice would probably be Amber, just because they've also got a fair amount of card draw and also quite a few tools.
Okay,
but yeah, I'd say either one of those. What about yourself?
Cool. Yeah, Amethyst. I mean, it's my color anyway. But no, for all the reasons that you said, I think it's the most versatile. But I would have gone for Emerald as second choice.
Okay.
I just think there's enough in Emerald because, if you're playing the Diablo, especially if you're playing the Diablos, Prince John discard, you've got some draw in there. You have got some removal in terms of Mother Knows Best, and we don't talk about Bruno. And you've got some aggression. So I think it's.
Yeah, I can see that. So what we're saying is we should be playing Amethyst Green then, right?
Well, yeah. To be fair,
if they're the 2 best colours that you pair alone, then surely that's the best colour combination. But yeah, definitely. Maybe I'll play around with green purple. I'll put my thinking hat on and see what I can come up with. I'll have to ask Chris.
Yeah, ask the master.
So talking about asking Chris, let's ask Glenn a question, shall we? So we have, does Glenn know? So this is going to be a little thing where we're going to try and do every now and then, which is basically going to be game state rules or card rules or something in that form, which we don't think are very. They're obviously well known, but they're not necessarily obvious. There are a lot of things that people will probably ask at locals. They're not high in depth, like you need to get the rule book out on, but they're high enough that the game next to you may turn and go, does this work? So, does Glenn know?
Well, listen, I forgot how Be Prepared worked the other week. So,
this is.
I was playing here, so
playing Be Prep and didn't remove your own characters. So judge. Do Universal Shift and Puppy Shift trigger abilities that say something when shift? So the first one that comes to mind is the new Hero Hamada card. When you shift on top of it, you draw a card. That says when you shift.
Yeah.
It doesn't say Universal Shift. It doesn't say Puppy Shift. So is Universal Shift and Puppy Shift, is it still a shift? Or is it separate? I'm going to say the biggest one as well is obviously Bucky, the old style Bucky. Say, for instance, when you shift, you discard.
I'm going to say yes. So I'm going to say that yes, it is a shift, even though it's a different type of shift, because we've also seen shifts where you have different ways of paying for it and stuff. So we've got different sort of shifts in the game, haven't we? But it's still shift. I mean, this still says shift.
So obviously it says here, it says Universal Shift 4.
Yeah.
Whereas that just says shift, discard a card.
But I'm also looking at the Baymax now, and I'm seeing his other ability that says when you play this character, if you shift to play him, removal damage from him. And the only way you can use shift to play him is if you use his universal shift. So I'm going to say yes, it does.
Yeah, so yeah, universal shift and puppy shift are just special kinds of shift. So they still trigger any ability that refers to shift in its text. And like you said, the big giveaway is it says it on Baymax himself very much. So yeah.
Yay.
But that may
So
be
I got one.
Yeah, you
I got one.
Right, we'll have to keep tally. 1-0 to Glenn. So, but yeah, that might be one of those ones, if someone's running your puppy deck out there and someone says, oh, you can't do that because that's got puppy shift, not normal shift. So,
right.
But yeah, they both count the same thing. It just has puppy in front of it because it's limiting you to what you can shift onto, whereas Baymax is the opposite. You can shift onto anything. So they're literally polar opposites. One of them you can shift onto any puppy and one of them you can shift onto anything. So. Oh, there you go. Then you need to put puppies with Baymax, then you can shift Baymax.
Well, there you go. You can, yeah.
Baymax puppy shift. Last week's flavor text game. Can you remember it? Am I going to have to read it? Okay.
Yeah, you're going to have to read it.
So last week's flavor text game was, it's been fun, guys, but I've got to be going. Yahoo!
I remember it.
Yeah. So thank you very much for commenting, everyone. Again, we did have someone get it right. It was a little bit more tricky.
Yahoo!
A little bit more tricky. But it was Kit Cloud Clicker. Yeah, it was a good card. It was a good card, and he obviously did well. It stumped me. I was there for a minute trying to work out who it was. So there is the Yahoo for anyone that's wondering. The Yahoo was there. He wasn't just randomly shouting Yahoo.
As I do. Not to be confused with Chihu.
Okay, so this week's flavor text game, there's no hint for this. It hasn't been in tonight's episode because it's what I think is quite easy. So the flavor text for this week is "The cold never bothered me anyway." Now, take your time. Don't trip up over this one because there is quite a few cards out there it could be, but that's the flavor text for this week. So please drop a comment below. Let us know what you think the flavor text game is. And while you're there, smash that subscribe button for us. Have you got your Christmas list sorted already?
Not the 24th of December yet. I haven't started shopping.
Well, that's a shame because,
but I know what's on the list.
You could have got yourself an Uninkable Dads, figure.
Very excited by these. Very excited. Yeah, so arriving in your local toy store and game stores across the country, across the world. You've got these amazing little figures. There you go. There is FPS madness. Jim Boss himself.
I missed the t-shirt the first time. I didn't support that.
He's got his deck mat and his dice. And a pack of cards all ready to go.
Yeah, I like it. And I'm looking forward to this set. We haven't seen this set yet. So, and also drop us a comment below if you know where the Jim Boss reference is from. We also have yourself as well. It's nice to see that you're on your vegetarian clean here.
Yeah,
your veggie playmat.
Yep, got me puppy as well. So many puppies
Keep
are there.
calm and be prepared. I like it. And then obviously you can't have the Uninkable Dads, because we can't be dads without the little ones. So we've also got the Uninkable Kids.
Yeah,
which is
there
good.
you go. You can collect the full set.
Yeah, they come free, with their own mobile phone and the standard Friday night pizza. So yeah, that one's definitely going in my shopping basket. There we go. I've got it. Because it may take a while for it to hit toy stores. We're not entirely sure when.
Yeah.
I wonder if I can send that to Alex and get him to 3D print it. I'll get my copy early.
But yeah, look out for those in your local game shop. And
one other bit of news we can bring for you, though, is in the works, in the progress, we do have access now to... Well, I say access. We did have access to the Ravensburger Play Network, which is going to be the new version for Melee. So this was up and running. I think they then realised how many people went on it in one day, realised the website couldn't handle that many people, and it's been down since. I think they're touching it up. So this is going to be the new version. Compared to Melee, it's so much easier. I think it's just a little bit more user-friendly. Melee is very good at what it does. Unfortunately, it's not very user-friendly, especially not for kids. And when you do have a fair amount of kids that do play this game, it would be nice if they can get their hands on it. Most kids have mobile phones, so they may as well enter in their own school. I don't want to be doing it for them.
Yeah, exactly. And I think my understanding is that you'll be able to. So you can register for tournaments and stuff on Melee at the moment, but you say it's not very user friendly. Searching it is actually not very great. But this, hopefully, we'll see. But hopefully, we'll have a good search tool. I'm sure it will do. You'll be able to search for tournaments in your area, register on there. We're told you're going to be able to build a deck on there, so you can load up your deck, and therefore then just submit your deck direct to the tournament. So. No more having to scribble your deck list down on sheets of paper, although I'm sure there'll still be some people doing that 5 minutes before tournament entry.
But you say that because of how easy it is to do. Once you've built a deck list, you just basically connect it to you. On there. So it's really easy to do. So I would imagine they're probably going to go, maybe not straight away, but they will go to the point where all deck lists have to be submitted onto the thing before you can even enroll. I've played in Gwent tournaments that were very, very similar, and if you didn't have a deck list registered in time, that was it. You couldn't enroll. So,
and the really good thing about that will be that we will have therefore full deck lists for meta reports, right? So
there'll be a lot more information out there.
Yeah, if you watch any of there's some great YouTube channels around there of people that will talk through the big tournaments that have gone on and the deck lists and things. So this will, often you'll have maybe 6 or 7 of the top 8 deck lists because one hasn't been captured for whatever reason. So this should have 100% coverage of all sort of big tournaments. So we'll be able to see exactly what deck lists people are running. And as you said, in tournament, being able to see who your next pairing is, what table you're sitting at, and then entering your result on there. So a bit of an all-in-one app.
It'll be a nice smooth transition through everything. And like I said, I love Dreamborn. I use Dreamborn for all my decks and all my collections on there as well, so I know where I'm at and when I build a deck what I'm missing. So I don't really see me moving away from Dreamborn anytime soon, but it'd be really nice to have another option. And also, I believe, I'm not entirely sure, but I believe if you do use Dreamborn or other external ports, there will be a way to import decks. So if you're someone that's like, no, I only want to use Dreamborn, this is going to screw me up, then you can just import a deck. You'll be able to copy it and import it in. So you don't have to use the deck builder itself, but your decks would still need to be stored within it. So it makes it nice and easy. So, or if you've got decks you've already got, for instance, you haven't got to rebuild 6 decks, for instance. I'm looking forward to
definitely not moving my collection away from Dreamborn. So I had all of my collection sorted on the Lorcana app originally. I changed my phone and realized that although you can port your apps across, it doesn't port the data. So I went and had to put my entire collection back on something. I decided to go for Dreamborn because of being web-based. So if I change my phone again, I don't lose it all. So I've catalogued my entire collection onto Dreamborn. And as you said there, the nice thing is when you do that, if you build a deck, it tells you if there's cards in that deck that you don't have in your collection. But I'm all in on the Lorcana Play hub, and I'm looking forward to it. But I'm not sitting there typing in however many thousands of cards it is.
Don't get me wrong. They might do. There is an export thing, and you can export if there's a way to then import that on.
That would be good,
potentially. But at the end of the day, there's nothing wrong with Dreamborn. I'm used to it, so I'll probably continue to use it. For anyone who doesn't use the collection thing and wants to know how that works, there's a collection tab at the top. You can do it either by set. So argument's sake, say you go into this set, you could then just basically you tick how many you've got of either that card in normal or foil. You can choose non-foil only if you don't collect foils. And then you can choose play set, and that automatically changes it to 4. And when you hit 4, it will automatically tick that over. So next time you search, so that's a rare and an uncommon. So if I tick that, what is that? Oh, sorry, incomplete. There we go. So if you tick incomplete, it will then get rid of it as soon as you hit 4. So as soon as you hit 4, it then moves on because you've now got that. So yeah, it's a good little thing. And like I say, so here we've got 3 cards. We've got Hades, Medusa, and Takar. So if we went into Deck Builder and you went to Hades and you put 4 of these in and 4 of these ones in, you can see here that you're missing cards, and it can even highlight it and show you which ones you're missing. So if you build a whole deck and this says something like 98%, you can click the highlight, find out what card you're missing, so therefore you can either adjust the deck or look at purchasing that card. So it's very good. Obviously this collection's empty because this is our Unequal Dads one. My one has all my cards in it. I keep them all in there, and it's very easy to use. It also has spaces for the challenge promos, so the promos you're going to get a challenge. It also does all the year promos as well. So somewhere in here you've got all. Why is this coming up like this? What have I done? There we go. It's because they're foil. All like the league promos and stuff as well. So if you want to keep track of all that, all of this can be done here. So yeah, it's quite good. I enjoyed Dreamborn. I think it's good. I'm hoping, this one will be just as good, and we'll have 2 places to build decks. So,
yeah,
there are others as well. They're not the only 2. If you do use any others and you want people to know about them, then give them a comment. Let us know.
Absolutely, and I'm sure they'll bring the Disney Sparkle to the app as well. I'm kind of looking forward to that. Getting some Disney artwork, hopefully within the app itself.
Yeah, definitely.
Making it really just visually appealing and nice to use.
Yeah, I think that's one thing I do like over the app compared to Dreamborn is when you go on the Enchanteds or the foils, that the card moves on the app and you can see that little bit of shimmer, which is quite nice. Having that is quite nice, and it shows the card off a little bit more. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Currently under maintenance and no time on when it'll be back, but it's due to be started to be used, I think, by the end of May. By end of May, I believe all local game stores have to be using it. So
yeah, certainly for Reign of Jafar set champs, that's going to be the first set champs that will be totally on.
Yeah, I think from Reign of Jafar onwards, they should be using it for all in-store events. So
right.
So obviously, I'm sure the maintenance is a planned thing. It's not something that they've decided, oh no, we need to change something. It's just a case of it was working for a day and people managed to catch it before it went on to maintenance. But yeah, looking forward to it. Looking forward to that one. Should be good. Okay, guys, thank you very much for joining us on today's episode. Thank you very much for Grandad Glenn for joining us. Anything you want to sign up on? Ruby Amythest is back. We know you don't.
Ruby Amythest is still back, and I'm not playing it.
It's that back that you don't even want to touch it. It's that good. So, yeah. It's time to roll up those playmats.
Pack away the dice.
And remember, stay uninkable.
See you next time.
See you next time. So good, don't want to touch it. It's too hot. Can't handle it.
Illumineers, how you doing today? Listen to the show and learn to play. Whether you are new or you're a pro, I'm sure we have something to show. Amber, green, red, and steel, then purple, blue, complete our wheel. Listen and you'll learn some new strats to help you win some championship mats. So what in color are you gonna choose? Inkable or uninkable? It is up to you. you gonna choose? Inkable or uninkable? It is up